What's up, everybody? Here with Joe Grinwis, aka Panda, whose pockets are a little bit heavier this week after a nice Braxton Berrios hit on Sunday, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick coming through with the rushing touchdown on Thursday. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Great weekend last weekend. Hoping to make it even a better weekend, week three. Let's get to it.
And just so you know, a few people, wanted to bring up the fact that you did pick the Niners, or I'm sorry, the Jets +7 last week. They just wanted to remind you of that. So
Yeah,
I
that
figured
was
I would
my
bring that one
one
up.
my one terrible pick. That one did
Yeah.
screw me out of a parlay actually, but thankfully Seattle came through, and that was enough for me for the week.
Yeah, so getting to the Jet game this week, I actually think this is a much better matchup for the Jets going up against the Colts instead of the Niners. They're listed right now at +11.5. Money line's +440. I'm not touching that. Over under, I think, is a little bit high at 44 points. I could definitely see this being a low scoring kind of game. But I don't have any faith in the Jets to cover the spread. Probably going to stay away from it. A few prop bets I like: Jonathan Taylor touchdown in the win, +105. I think T.Y. Hilton also over 57.5 yards. Pretty safe bet against this Jets secondary. And then Chris Herndon, with the Jets down to their seventh and eighth string wideouts, him over 42.5 yards, I think is a pretty safe bet as well.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this one in terms of the spread and the money line. I have no faith in the Jets after what they've done the first 2 weeks. There's no reason to. No healthy receivers. I do like one prop bet. I like T.Y. Hilton, touchdowns +750. I think that's more than possible against this defense in the way that we've been playing through the first 2 weeks. And with Paris Campbell out for the Colts now, Phillip Rivers is starting to form more of a relationship with Hilton as well as Mo Alley Cox. But with Jack Doyle back, we'll see how Mo Alley Cox's role goes from here. So, yeah, I'm staying away from this one unless I'm taking T.Y. Hilton 2 touchdowns +750.
Not bad. And again, I think Cox could be interesting if Doyle ends up not playing. I know he's questionable right now. I think he's supposed to be a game time decision, so that could be interesting. Next game up, Raiders +6 at the Pats. Pats looked pretty good on Sunday night going up against Seattle, put up 30 points against that defense. As far as the spread goes, I'm not really big on this game either way. I do like the over as far as 47 points. Some of the prop bets: Cam Newton to score a touchdown +135, and then Sonny Michel +200 to score and win. I think this could be a game where maybe they do start to feature him a little bit more. I know he didn't get a whole lot of touches in the second half last week. His over-under on rushing yards is also 45.5, so I like the over on that one too.
Yeah, I love the Patriots -6 personally. I have that in a couple of my parlays. I think the Raiders come down to earth this week. I think they're a good team, better than they were last year. I think they're for real. Last year was more of a fluke. I think this year they will compete for a wild card spot. I could be wrong on that, but from what I've seen through 2 weeks, I think they're for real. But New England at home, even without fans, I'm taking New England -6 all day. And I also like Cam to score 2 touchdowns +450.
Ooh.
More than possible. You almost did it last week against Seattle. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's hard to get to bet against Belichick, period. So especially coming off a loss, I could definitely get on board with you on the Pats there. Next up, we got Falcons Bears +3.5 for the Bears. Falcons money line +160. I'm sorry, Bears money line +160, and the over under is 47. What are you thinking about this one? Because I'm kind of torn here.
I'm pretty much staying away from it, but if I were to put any money on it, I'd put money on the Bears +3.5, or even the Bears to win for +160. The Bears are 2-0. Yeah, it might have been ugly against Detroit, but it was a comeback, and might have been ugly against the Giants, but they held on. It doesn't matter. They're 2-0, where the Falcons blew 2 leads. So, if I'm betting on this game, and I'm personally not, but if I were going to, I'd be all over Chicago. I think it's a 7-point game either way. If it was in Chicago, I'd be taking the Bears all day. But since it's in Atlanta, I'm going to stay away from it. The only thing I do like is Allen Robinson over 65.5 receiving yards for -110. I think that's free money.
Solid play. And again, with the Falcons secondary banged up right now, Julio Jones, he's also listed as a game time decision. I can definitely get on board with the Bears in that game. But yeah, not too many props that I was really a big fan of when I was going through it before. Next up, Texans +4 at Pittsburgh. Texans money line +190. I think is kind of tempting there. An 0-2 team that went up against arguably the best 2 teams in all of football in KC and Baltimore. Pittsburgh does have the #1 ranked rushing defense, but I think a big effort from Watson could be enough to get this win for the Texans.
I'm opposite of you. I love Pittsburgh
Yeah.
-4 for 118. I love Pittsburgh all day on Sunday. I love Big Ben over 1.5 touchdown passes -155, and I like Deontay Johnson over 64.5 receiving yards -112. I think Pittsburgh's going to have a big day. I think it's going to be a close game. Houston's always seems to be in it. because Deshaun Watson is one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the game. But unfortunately, kind of like the Jets of Sam Darnold, the Texans stripped him of all his reliable receivers. So I think it's 0-3 for Houston. I think they're going to bounce back and have an okay season, maybe 6-10, 7-9, kind of sort of like the Jets last year, a strong second half. But I don't think their first win comes this Sunday. I think Pittsburgh's too good.
All right. Feeling a little bit different on that one, but if I'm going to go away from the game, I do like Will Fuller over 55.5 yards. And him scoring a touchdown is also plus 225. Brandon Cooks at plus 250 to score a touchdown. Both players, this is the first week that they're going to be healthy, at least together. Cooks, he was injured early on.
For
Fuller,
1 quarter.
Exactly. Fuller, he was in and out there last week. So I think it could be interesting. I think Houston could put up some points. So if you'd rather go with the prop bets, I think that's a safe play. And then the over of 45.5, I think that'll probably hit too.
No, I think so too. No, I didn't know it was that low actually. So
Yeah. So next up, we got Bengals plus 5 at Philly. Bengals at plus 190 on the money line. They look pretty good with Burrow on Thursday night against Cleveland, throwing 60 passes, over under at 47.5. What do you think on this one?
Love Cincinnati to win. I have them in 2 of my parlays, 1 to cover the spread. I got it early on Monday at 6.5. It was down to 5.5. I think it's at 6 now. Depends on where you look, but I got them at 6.5 earlier in the week. I also got them to win straight up. Eagles have looked terrible. Ever since it was 17-0 down in Washington, they have just been awful all the way around. And I know Cincinnati's a rookie, and I know they have issues in the secondary, and I know, the offense is not really airing it out yet, but I think the Eagles are the perfect recipe for that because they're falling apart in front of our eyes. I love the Bengals this week. I also like Zach Ertz, which I know it's an Eagles bet, but I like Zach Ertz to outgain. If you look at the matchups on DraftKings, to outgain the tight end for the Bengals sample. Can't remember his first name, minus 177. I do like that. But other than that, I'm staying away from anything Eagles. I'm going Bengals money line all the way.
All right, not bad. The one prop I did like, now you're kind of talking me out of it, is Miles Sanders over 109.5 rushing and receiving yards. Just with Geno Atkins being out for Cincinnati and then Jeffrey and Rager both being out at wide receiver for the Eagles, I think this could be a game where they look to ground and pound, control time of possession, things like that. You could also get Sanders on a touchdown, minus 162. Probably not worth it with the juice, but 2 touchdowns is plus 275. So not a terrible bet there. Next up, we got the Niners minus 3.5 at the Giants. This is a tough one. I think if the Giants were fully healthy and they had Barkley out there, this would probably be a no-brainer with just how banged up the Niners are. They entered the Jet game last week with a ton of injuries, and they left, even worse with Bosa getting hurt, Solomon Thomas, no Garoppolo, no Mostert. But I still think Kyle Shanahan against Joe Judge, that's a solid matchup for the Niners, and I think your dog agrees too.
I got the Giants at 4.5 plus 4.5. I like the Giants in this one too. Yeah. This is my other underdog that I love. I don't really love the Bears, so I stay away from them, but I love the Bengals and I love the Giants. Love the Giants plus 4.5. Plus 155 is what I got on that one. Daniel Jones over 1.5 touchdown passes plus 118. And also Darius Slayton to get a touchdown and the Giants to win plus 630. I like the Giants. I think they're going to pass all day on the 49ers. A depleted defensive line, a depleted secondary. The turf is in their head. I think the Giants get a win on this one. I don't think it's a blowout per se, but I think the Giants win this game. Nick Mullins is nothing special, and neither is the Giants defense, but this is the time the Giants get on the winning board.
All right, not bad. And if I am going to go with the prop, I'm probably going with McKinnon at plus 108 with Mostert and Coleman both being out. He's going to get a majority of the workload back there, so it wouldn't shock me at all if he gets 1, if not even 2 touchdowns. Next up, this is the one game that I do love as far as an underdog goes. Rams plus 1.5 at Buffalo. Probably not even worth it to even take the money line at plus 106. Might as well take the extra 1.5 as insurance. I just think the Rams are more battle tested. They've been there before. I think that defense is playing really well. Goff is looking, much better than he did, almost like the Super Bowl team. I just don't think the Bills have had much of a test yet going up against Miami and then the Jets the first 2 weeks. I think they're still the team to beat in the division, but going up against the Rams, I think this is going to be a true test for them, and I just don't think they're ready for that yet.
This is one of the first games this season where I think not having fans is going to come into play in a big way. I think if there were fans in Buffalo, 65,000 people jumping through tables and going crazy in their Zubaz pants, I would be taking the Bills at minus 1.5 this Sunday. No doubt in my mind. Since they're not, I'm going to be taking the Rams. I'm going to take them on the money line. Other than that, I'm staying away from this game. I don't really have a lot of confidence in it, but I do think the Rams pull this one out.
All right, and yeah, prop bet I like Malcolm Brown scoring a touchdown is even right now at plus 100. If you want to go with the score and win combo, it's plus 225. And then Cooper Cup, he's came through. Pretty sure he came through week one. I know he came through last week with the over on yards. He's listed at 54 and a half, so got to go with him there. And then next up, Redskins plus 7.5 at the Browns. I haven't been a believer in the Browns all year. I know it's only 2 weeks, but just not a believer in Baker really. And that 7.5, I think it's a large spread. They struggled a little bit with Cincinnati putting that one away. I could see McLaurin scoring a touchdown at plus 210. And then Jarvis Landry over 48.5 yards because I do think Cleveland's going to be throwing towards the end of the game.
I think Cleveland's going to win this game, but I'm not comfortable enough for 7.5 either. I'm taking Washington plus 7.5. I think this is anywhere between a 3 to 7 point game. Cleveland doesn't really get away from anybody. You saw how close the Bengals came back on them last week. And honestly, this is a slightly tougher test with Washington. So I do like Washington plus 7.5, but Cleveland to win. I also like Odell Beckham Jr. over 55.5 receiving yards, minus 112. And Nick Chubb over 80.5 rushing yards, minus 112 as well.
See, I wanted to go with Chubb, but then, you saw Kareem Hunt towards the end last week. I feel like he might start getting a bigger workload, so that kind of scares me off a little bit there.
I think they're both going to have big days. I think just like the Cincinnati game, they're both going to have big days. I think Beckham's going to have a big day, but I think it's almost going to be mirror images. I think Cleveland's up 2 touchdowns. Washington backdoor covers late.
All right, next up, Titans -3 at Minnesota. Vikings looked awful last week. Cousins 3 interceptions against Indy. Titans are 2-0, but those 2 wins combined by only 5 points against Denver and Jacksonville. Tough to really pick this one. I'm probably staying away from both the spread and the money line. I think the over/under set a little bit high at 49.5. But if there is one bet that I do like, Justin Jefferson over 35.5 yards. I think this is the week that you start to see that connection with him and Cousins really start to take off. They're going to start featuring him a little bit more. If you even want to gamble on him scoring a touchdown, is plus 425, which I think is some pretty solid odds there.
I love the Titans. I got them at minus 2.5 earlier in the week. Now at minus 3, I'm a little hesitant, but you can also get them on the money line for minus 141, which for a 2-0 team, I don't think that's too bad. The Vikings have looked terrible, almost jet terrible. Almost, not quite, but close. So until they really show something, I have no faith in them. I'm going Titans all the way. I also, as a prop bet, love Jonnu Smith over 41.5 receiving yards, minus 112. He's Ryan Tannehill's new go-to guy of 2020, at least so far. And I think he's one of the better tight ends in the game. I think this is free money on this one.
Yeah, and you were all over him last week. Hit that touchdown prop bet.
Yep.
Next up, we got Panthers plus 6.5 at the Chargers. I would have been all over the Panthers here if they were healthy with McCaffrey. Even still, I'm probably just buying a point, taking them at 7.5. Herbert, he had a nice debut last week, but it was a lot of yards after catch type of things. So I think that rule is going to make some adjustments, get creative on defense there. Robbie Anderson, the one prop that I like, got to stick with him over 51.5 yards. You can also get him at a touchdown at plus 300.
Yep. I like Robbie Anderson, touchdown plus 300. Other than that, I'm staying away from this game completely because, like you said, you have no idea what Herbert's going to do now that there's a week of preparation for the opposing team on him. You don't know what Carolina's offense is going to be without McCaffrey. I mean, you can come to guess that it's going to be horrible, but you never know, especially, LA, the Chargers, they're always up and down. You're never consistent. So I'm staying away from this one entirely other than the bet on our old friend, Robbie Anderson.
There you go. All right, next up, we got the Bucs and the Broncos, and this one's interesting. I love Tampa in this one. No Drew Lock for the Broncos. Their weapons are nice, but Sutton's out. Judy's a little bit banged up. I don't trust Driscoll at all, even against the Todd Bowles defense. So, a few prop bets. Godwin's going to be back over 58.5 yards, and a touchdown is plus 145. Evans touchdown plus 130, and then over 63.5 yards. And even if you want to take a little gamble here, I know he hasn't seen a whole lot of targets yet. Gronk may be getting his first touchdown. This could be the week at plus 450.
I like Gronk at plus 450 as well to get his first TD. That's possible. And I am playing that one 100%. Tampa Bay minus 5.5. They were minus 6.5 earlier the week. It's actually come down a point. So
surprised by that.
I'm surprised by the money that's coming on Denver. I know Denver is normally a team that covers at home. And like you said, if Drew Lock was a quarterback, I probably would take Denver with the points. But I'm going Tampa to win all the way. Minus 5.5. I'm also going Brady over 1.5 touchdown passes, minus 103. And in a DraftKings matchup, Brady over Driscoll passing yards, minus 195.
Not bad. And speaking of the passing yard matchups, next game, Stafford against Kyler Murray. I think this is the prototypical game that Stafford kind of picks things up again. It's pretty much even odds at minus 112. So it's basically a pick 'em there. I think Kyler Murray, he's going to get a lot of yards on the ground. And yeah, I think this is also a game that the Lions could actually surprise some people. I know they've looked like dog shit the first 2 weeks, but I'm not buying all the hype on Arizona, at least not yet. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, we're differing a lot this week because I love
Yeah.
Arizona. I love Arizona -5.5. I got them earlier in the week. I got them again today. Love Arizona to win straight up by I honestly have this as a 2-touchdown game. I don't think it's going to be
Wow.
close.
Wow.
Matt Patricia is probably the second worst head coach in the NFL behind Adam Gase. No faith in him. The Lions are screwed. They are getting Kenny Golladay back. Maybe they keep it close because of that, but I just don't see it. I think Arizona is going to win by 2 touchdowns going away. And I love Kyler Murray over 1.5 touchdowns, -196. And I also have a wide receiver parlay. I should have brought it up last game, but I'm bringing it up this game. Special on DraftKings. Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, and DJ Metcalf to score a touchdown, +950. Not bad.
That's actually a really nice bet. Got to throw 10 on that.
Odds boost on DraftKings. Check it out.
I didn't realize it was the odds boost. That's
Yep.
even better. Nice. So yeah, I mean, with the Lions, you brought up a good point with Galladay coming back. Him, Jones. You got Hawkinson back there. I just think they have enough playmakers that they can keep this game close. I'm not a huge fan of the Cardinals' defense, and I just think they started off fast, and usually these teams that overachieve early on by week 3, week 4, they usually come back down to earth a little bit. So I just don't think the Cardinals are going to be able to keep it up.
I see your point, but I'm all Arizona, baby. Let's go Birds.
Cliff Kingsbury, the man who should have been coaching the Jets.
I know. Well,
What a shame.
that's another story for another day.
All right, next up, we got the Cowboys +5 at Seattle. Another underdog that I kind of like here with the Cowboys. Big win, emotional win last week coming back against the Falcons. Seattle's offense does look as good as ever. Russell Wilson, he's playing out of his mind right now with DK, another guy who I wish, the Jets would have taken last year. A few prop bets, though, that are pretty tempting here. Zeke scoring 2 touchdowns. It's only listed at +200, but I do think he's going to find the end zone twice. The over-under in this game is listed at 57, so it's probably going to be a shootout. If you want something a little bit safer, Amari Cooper scoring 1 touchdown at +160. And then on the yards, Cooper over 70.5 and CeeDee Lamb over 60.5.
I like Seattle. We differ again. Surprise, surprise. Either one of us is going to come out very rich, and one of us is going to become broke.
Well, luckily I didn't place any bets yet, so you might sway me on a few of these.
I love Seattle -5. Just like you said, Dallas had the emotional win, and they did. Seattle did too, and Seattle did it against a much better team in New England. And I just think their defense, while it's inconsistent, I think it's going to be enough to slow down Dak. And Seattle's offense right now is humming. Russell Wilson is out of this world. I think he should have been an MVP years ago. He's right through 2 games. I know it's only 2 games. Right now, he's my MVP this season. Lamar a close second. But I love Seattle -5, -110. And I love Wilson over 1.5 touchdowns. It's -250. You're not getting much for it. But if you do the 20% odds boost on DraftKings, you can do that for any game. You could do that for a game. You could do that for a player prop. You could do that for a matchup. If you do that, it will raise it up to -200, a little bit better. I think that's free money.
See, watching Edelman go for 160 last week against that Seattle defense and watching them not really be able to generate any kind of pass rush, that's the only thing that has me worried. They're solid against the run. We saw what Jamal Adams could do against the run, but against the pass, they just looked like shit. And I think that Dallas is really going to test them with their receivers, with Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and even Gallup. They got the weapons, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. At the very least, the +5, I think, is a pretty safe bet.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I like Seattle by a touchdown.
All right, Sunday night, Packers +3 at the Saints. Tough one to call here. No Mike Thomas for the Saints. Likely no Devontae Adams for the Packers either. I think the Packers, at the very least, have showed you they can win some of these low-scoring games, and play some defense. They did it last year. Their offense has been on fire to start this year. 85 points through 2 games. So what are you looking at here?
I had Green Bay early in the week at +3.5. So that's my favorite bet of the week on that. I think that's a sure win at this point. It has gone down to 3. I think it's going to go to +2.5 by kickoff, maybe even +2. I think more of the money is going to come in on Green Bay as we get closer. Aaron Rodgers, just like Russell Wilson, is playing out of this world. And I think New Orleans last week really struggled on Monday night. Drew Brees does not look the same. Yep. Michael Thomas, with his injuries, I think Green Bay's playing on a roll right now. I know Devontae Adams is questionable. If he doesn't play, then I'm a little worried. But the way Green Bay's offense is humming, even without him out of the lineup against Detroit, I like Green Bay to keep it close. I like them +3.5.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point with Breeze. He did not look good Monday night, and it's also a short week. The Packers, they can run the ball to keep the ball out of Breeze's hands. Aaron Jones had 3 touchdowns last week. I actually like him on the over 67.5 yards. I think that's pretty low. And Aaron Rodgers scoring 2 touchdowns, -143. I think that's a pretty solid bet too. All right, so we got Monday night Chiefs plus 3.5 at the Ravens. Pretty surprised that the Chiefs are that big of an underdog. Money line plus 155. Over under is at 54. I think this might be the biggest shootout of the week, to be honest with you. So a lot of the prop bets as far as touchdown and win, you can get Clyde Edwards-Helaire at plus 240, Kelsey at plus 325, Tyreek Hill plus 350, and if you want to go even higher, McCole Hardman at plus 1200.
And to go along with all the receivers catching touchdowns, you can get Patrick Mahomes over 292.5 passing yards, minus 112. I like that a lot personally because I love Kansas City plus 3.5. I also love them on the money line, minus 140. I think Kansas City is going to keep this a close game. They keep every game close, so why not take them plus 3.5? And as far as the money line goes, that's just me. I can't not root for Patty Mahomes.
All right, so best bets of the night or the week. What are you going with? You have to pick your top 2 or 3 out there.
Best bets of the week. I love Tennessee minus 2.5. That is my number one favorite bet of the week. Tennessee minus 2.5. And I love Arizona minus 5.5.
All right, you might talk me into some of those. I'm probably sticking with the Packers, buying a point there, plus 3.5, and then the Bucks at 5.5. I love both of those games.
All right, well, we'll see. I need both. I need the Bucks to cover, and I need the Packers to lose by 3 or less. So I'm with you all the way.
Sounds good. Any bets that you want to share? Because I did not place anything yet. I wanted to hear what you had to say first. So.
Yes, I had a parlay Arizona minus 5.5, Tennessee minus 2.5, the Giants plus 4.5, Packers plus 3.5. I think that's going to hit. That's my favorite parlay of the week.
All right, sounds good, man. Look forward to talking to you next week.
Talk to you then.
All right.